What's up all you decoplastic dudes and dudettes, Toy Shiz here, and I'm back yet again to give you guys another retro Shiz look back at the past, and today we're going to be checking out the Todd Toys, or as they're better known, McFarlane Toys 1995's Wave 2 MALEBOLGIA. Fully poseable, standing at 15 inches tall. That's a lot of plastic for a moderately sized action figure card, and of course, this was long before Mattel kind of went crazy and thought everyone was going to confuse Todd with Barbie's little brother, Todd. I didn't even know Barbie had a little brother until I kind of heard about that way back in the day. Todd McFarlane's Spawn, really nice artwork always. I just like how you get a big naked demon crouching down in the plastic. Just looks really weird from the side, but you do see you get a large figure. On the backside, you get all kinds of cross cells, different artwork, and a really interesting bio picture for Todd McFarlane. He loves his photos, doesn't he? But it's nice to see all the different figures and the weapons and the vehicles and all that stuff on the back. And of course, you get to see MALEBOLGIA right there with the Wave 2 cross-cell. And this actually comes from McFarlane's website. You get to see the original figure Paintmaster prototype for this MALEBOLGIA. And as you can see, it's pretty close to the original. Maybe a couple different paint schemes here and there, but he looks great. A couple other vehicles. You got the Violator, Monster Rig, Spawn Alley playset. At the very bottom of the packaging, you get to see the instructions, so to speak. The mouth open closes on MALEBOLGIA and also on his mini skull accessory. And it talks about how poseable the figure is. He's just a really cool looking figure. I've had this guy forever, but I wanted to go ahead and open him. We're going to get new Spawn figures here coming up shortly, so sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice hot cup of coffee. This is the 1995 Wave 2 Ultra Action Figure MALEBOLGIA by McFarlane Toys. Now, really quick, before we get into the figure, I wanted to say how much I enjoyed always having these posters / inserts. Sometimes Kenner would do little booklets, but it gave you an idea of the other figures in the wave or what they were offering. You got little bios. And I just remember always having these and getting a magic marker Sharpie and just crossing them off as I got each figure from that wave. Didn't always get all of them. You know, being a kid, you're lucky to get what you get. But I miss this type of insert. And I know like stuff like Fortnite stuff, they actually still do it to this day. But I would love to see more things like this. It's got that really cool nostalgic feeling to it. Plus, it kind of looks like a poster. And I think that a lot of people do get their news from social media and YouTube and things like that. But for kids, for those that don't have direct access all the time to that source of media, I would say bring these back. Put some inserts in there, pictures, everything else, just to get kids excited again. But enough about all this. Let's talk about MALEBOLGIA. This guy rocks, from the paint to the look to the sculpt to his wild hairdo. This thing is just a lot of fun. He was that giant figure. You had to show up to the store to get this guy early. When people were going hog wild for Spawn, I ended up getting this guy from a comic book shop. I never saw this in the store, but I've had him for all these years, and he's just one of those things where he's just so much fun to have. The fact that McFarlane, with everything that he did in creating all these new action figures and kind of taking it to that next level, the fact that you'd have like basic sized 5-6 inch type Spawn figures, and then he slapped a 15-inch figure inside this blister card, that's amazing. Down to the hair. The hair is just all kinds of disgusting. This is a disgusting looking figure. Like, you don't want to touch it. It looks like he's got some saggy skin, some old boils, and he's got bones protruding and all that kind of stuff down to his saggy butt, his bat wings. But that's why it's fun. This is a fun figure. And when you're a kid and you got these like monsters, there's something about monsters and demons and everything else. It's not meant to be scary. It's just meant to excite and be like, dang, like what is this thing? But there's all these little nuances down to even his accessory, which looks to be like a Fleabag brother skull, something like a Violator skull, something like that. It does have a hinge on it, and the jaw will go up and down, and he can actually hold it, but it has really nice paint on it as well. But the big surprise is when you get this guy out of the package and you finally extend his legs and stand him up. It's a humongous figure. This was $6, $7, $8 back in the day, 15 inches tall. it was just unheard of, but they did that. That's what they strive to do for McFarlane Toys, is give you something that you weren't expecting. That's a lot of plastic. You buy the regular Spawn figures, Angela, things like that, and then you get these one-offs that were just enormous figures. And like I said, he holds the skull in his hand, and he holds it well. This figure, it just encapsulates everything that McFarlane broke the mold to do, and I really hope that he continues it well into the DC multiverse. But let's look at the articulation on this guy.
As you can see, he's going to have that 1995 pretty much standard articulation, but he's still a lot of fun. His head can actually go up, down, left, right. You actually get a lot of good mobility out of it. His jaw is on a hinge as well. He's got quite the overbite, but he's pretty darn spot on to the comics at the time. And I really like the old lady hair. You know what I mean? It's very brittle. It's coarse. It's the texture of that old hair that's just all kinds of gross. But he does have rotation at the arms. It's just simply going to go up and down. They're not on a ball joint. You can hear that hinge working really good. He also got single jointed elbows right there for his Batwing type things, and his wrists will rotate. Really nice paint over this guy. He's disgusting. I just like how his butt kind of comes out. It's really cool, and he looks like you don't want to touch him. You know what I mean? It's got that really good paint. He's got bumps and warts and whatever else all over him. But the real magic happens because this guy was just packed away inside that tiny clamshell box. The packaging does not disappoint, and yes, he does stand huge. I mean, he doesn't even fit in the frame anymore. The guy is enormous, but he does have single jointed knees, and he does have feet that go up and down, and that actually works really well, especially when you want to get him into more of that crouched position, where a lot of times he looks like he's kind of crouching in the comics and yada yada, but he's just a really cool old school type figure. And to be quite honest with you, just in displaying him and how he looks, he definitely still holds his water.
Now, this MALEBOLGIA figure is one of the largest figures that McFarlane ever did. He did some larger scaled type Spawn figures. He did movie figures. There's another MALEBOLGIA. But this guy looks to be one of the tallest, we'll just say. And he looks great. He's supposed to be large and enormous, especially next to Spawn and Violator. If you guys remember the movie, you know, give or take. But Frank Welker did a great job voicing him for what they were working with. But he's supposed to be this giant, enormous demon creature, and that's why it works so well. You know, McFarlane was pretty good with scale, usually for the most part. Articulation nowadays, yes, it would be great to see more articulation. But for those, you know, that say, oh, McFarlane never had articulation, yada, yada. Well, you know, you go back in the day to these, even the earliest action figures that he did, yeah, there was basic articulation of these, and they still looked fantastic. MALEBOLGIA is a great representation of seeing that type of articulation, and for even giving you more bang for your buck. Packing such a large figure within the standard figure packaging, that's a really interesting and fun thing to just kind of give back to the collectors or those that are buying the toys. And here he is lined up with a Marvel Legends Angela figure. Yes, she did make that crossover from the Image universe and yada yada. And then of course here he is with a Marvel Legends Giant Man, and as you can see, just the scaling for what you get. This was a Build-A-Figure, and this is a figure that McFarlane gave you. There really was just that extra specialness to all the figures that he used to do back in the day. And of course lined up with Violator, the later Violator figure. You can crouch him down and they do scale up. So he works really crouched, tall, however you want to pose him. He's just a really awesome figure to display. And when you got him in with really any Spawn figure that you have, you're going to know that's MALEBOLGIA. He's a centralized character. Don't know much about what they're doing with him anymore. I think he's even dead, and Spawn was the king of hell and everything else by the thing last time I think I checked in with the actual Spawn comics. But to have these on your shelf is such a conversation starter. Everyone's going to go, oh my god, I remember Spawn. And now that Spawn looks to be making a return, hopefully, fingers crossed for 2020, we'll know more at Toy Fair. I cannot wait. So I highly recommend this MALEBOLGIA guy. You can get him on eBay, Mercari, extra cheap. Just go grab him if you're into this sort of, you know, creature or just Spawn figures in general and you've never picked them up. But I'm curious to know what you guys think. Did you have this figure? Do you need to get them now? Comment below, let me know. Let's talk everything Spawn. I'm going to leave you guys with that. As always, drink some great coffee, eat some great food, but most importantly, remember,
you made the deal. Now you are mine.
And when you do, let me know what you found. I'll talk to you guys soon. Adios.